on, and actually in this entire section we're going to learn about events. So let me go into our DOM folder and create a new folder. Let's call it events. So in this introduction I'm just going to show you what events are, and then we're going to go through mouse events, keyboard events, Amazon input events. So let me open up this folder using Visual Studio Code. Open, wait, Visual Studio Code, and how did I have this set up? I believe this way. Okay, let's create here a index.html. Actually, you already have in your download folder, in your download files, a index.html, which is, I'm just going to grab and drop it in here. This is just a bit of prefix from, well, we're just going to work on this. It's much easier to show you this instead of typing it all out, because this is not an HTML or CSS course. This is a JavaScript course, so I want you to have all of this. And I hope you can see this. I'm just going to make it a bit better, a bit larger. So as you can see, we have no CSS, and this is because we are using Bootstrap. So this is the link for Bootstrap. You should have it in here, but you can see there's a version here. So if it's not working, then I'll just really quickly show you this. Close it up. Actually, there we have it. So you would go to Bootstrap. Let me close this to up. You go to bootstrap.com, then we land on this page and click on get started, and you would just need to copy this link in. And let me just show you. If I would click copy, go in here, click paste, you can see it's the same thing. And let me actually comment this out so you can see how it's looking without Bootstrap. This is basically it. It just takes a few classes and a few settings from Bootstrap. Okay, and as you know, Bootstrap is excellent for just popping up something and working on it using JavaScript, so you don't have to worry about styling too much, wasting too much time with styling. I also did myself a bit of styling here, just style the UL and the LIs to have no punctuations and no margins and no paddings. Okay, so let's get started. Events, where do we have it? Let's create a app.js. So don't forget, I'm always going to type in this app.js and I'm going to copy it in a new file which is specific for the lecture. Okay, so this is just an introduction. So we're going to talk about events a bit. So what are DOM events? Well, there are events that are sending to so just sending notifications from the code that it has been interacted with. Each event is required to be an object which is based on the event interface and may have additional custom fields or functions used to get additional information about what is happening. Events can represent everything from basic user interactions to automated notifications of things happening in the rendering model. So let me give you an example. So let's select document dot, and I'm going to use query selector. So don't forget, we are going to use query selector and query selector all most often in this course. I'm not going to be using select element by ID on elements, select elements by classes. We are going to use query selector and query selector all. So let's go in here and let's select a button. And we have it. We have a btn class somewhere. Should this submit button? Let's check it out. There it is. So this is this button right here. Let's also inspect it. Let's go to inspect. Let's make this just a bit larger and go on this button. So this is the class that I want to select. So btn. Okay, now let's also have our console opened. Let's make this larger, and I'm going to close this up and make this just a tinge smaller. Okay, so let's go into our app. So we're going to select the class of btn, and if I will console log it, let's just actually put this in the console log. Oh, let me assign it to a variable actually. Let's say that this is a btn, const btn. And let's now console log the btn. Oh, yeah. and link up our JavaScript. Script, this is still happening to me. Haha. App.js. Okay, so there we go. We just console logged our button. Okay, I'm going to comment this out, and the two ways I could either go in here and also, well, let me copy this. So copy this one more time, comment this out, get rid of the const. I could go in here and say dot add event listener, and we're going to listen for a click. Okay, so within quotations, we will always type in what we are going to listen to. So click. After the quotations, I'll type in a comma and then a function. So when this click happens, a function will be fired off, which will, let's say, console log a string of I have been clicked. Okay, so let's hit save. Now let's go down here, and if I would click this, this just happened really quickly because this is a submit button and it's doing something. It is actually in a form. So let me go up here and show you what it does. So because the submit button is in this form, this right here, it actually submits the form. So let me first of all going to cut it out and put it in here, so we're outside the form. So if we click on it again, see, I have been clicked, so it's no longer submitting the form. I'm going to show you some examples of how we can prevent this. This is actually a default event of a form. So once again, let me clear this up. We have selected from the document the class of BTM, which is this one. We added a event listener to it. We added a we are listening for a click, so when we click on something, and then a function runs which console logs the string of I have been clicked. So let's try this again. Clicking on it, I have been clicked. Okay, so this is basically how it works. Now if I would copy this back in, so the submit button, where do we have it? There you are. So cut it out and copy it in the form. Okay, so just go to your form, you click on the form tag, you can see it reaches from here to here, and we have the submit button now back into our form. If we click on it, it flashes because it submits the form. Okay, so if I would go now into my form and let's say it has no action, but if I would type in here action, and it should go to, let's say, Google. So https:// google.com, and now if I would click on this, it would submit the form and go to Google. So this is actually how forms are submitted. They're listening for a click, and as soon as that submit happens, this has nothing to do with the event listeners, but as soon as that submit happens, they are submitting the form to whatever action is in here. So let's go back, and now I could actually show you something. We have here a event. Okay, this event does something, and if we type in something here, we could call it a event handler. So if I would type in here, let's say just event, you will often see just a E. We also use E. We're going to type in here now event, so you know what we're talking about. And let's go down here now, and let's say I'm going to take this event and type in dot prevent. You can see if we go down here, you see it's a method, and let's see what is prevent. Prevent default. Prevent default if invoked when the cancelable attribute value is true and while executing a listener, so in our case our listener of click, for the event with passive set to false. Okay, so if we invoke this, and because it's an event, open close parenthesis, so it's actually like a function, but it's a method. So let's see what happens if I would click now on this. It no longer submits the form, and we're console logging I have been clicked. If I would comment this out and click it again, it sends me to Google. Okay, so I think this is pretty easy and pretty self-explanatory. Functions can also take in events, and in this case, we are preventing the default event of the form. Now, let's remove this function and replace it with a named function. So, actually, I could just comment this out, copy it down here. So we will have also this example, comment it out, and we're going to take out this. And let's say we're going to replace it with onClick. Okay, so this is just a function that we now need to create. So let's go down here and let's actually delete this. And we don't longer need this. So this is the clean version. So document, query selector, button, add event listener, click, and when it's clicked, this function will be fired up, which we are going to create now. So on click, and there should be a function. So function on click, which can take in a parameter, so the capital K, and this time I'm going to use E, so our event. So you have both examples, and we will console log I have been clicked again, once again. Okay, and if we're running now this function, click on it, it submits to Google. You saw that flashing very quickly. Just take a look up here. Boop, it flashes and it disappears. Now we're going to take this E, so exactly as we did up there, we're going to take the event that is passed in, and we're going to prevent default again. Okay, so let's try this again. If we click on it, it prevents the default of submitting the form, and I have been clicked once again appears. So it's logged. Let me make this actually larger. Okay, so this is pretty much it for a basic introduction. Yeah, we're going to get next up into different kinds of events. And at the end of this, actually we have another section, and then we're going to create our project. So see you in the next one. Bye-bye.